Hello. So today, guys, we are going to make banana bread. This is one of our favorites around here. And so we're going to start with preheating our oven, 350, and then we are going to grease our baking pan. So you can use shortening, you can use olive oil. I usually just use a spray. So we're going to go ahead and spray our pan and set it over to the side while we wait. Next, we're going to start with our bananas. So you're going to need at least 2 cups of mashed bananas. And 2 cups is about typically 2 medium-sized bananas. I had 5 bananas in the bunch, so I just went ahead and put all 5 of the bananas in. I like mine pretty banana-y, so you're going to get a masher, and you're just going to mash up your bananas. And this is where your arm strength comes in, because it's a little bit of a pain, but good thing they're soft. So we're just going to mash them really good. So if you don't have a masher, you can just use a fork. That's what I used to always do. It gets the job done. So you don't have to have fancy tools. Okay. So see, it doesn't take up too much time. Just put a little bit of force into it. Grab a fork here so we can get all our bananas off our masher. You're going to clear off your masher. And we're just going to discard that. Okay, so next we're going to add melted butter. So we need, let's see, I have to look at my recipe. 1/3 cup of melted butter. So I went ahead and already melted it, so you have to wait on me. So we're just going to add this in. And we're going to mix that together. So now we have our butter and our banana mix. And we are going to add 3/4 cups of sugar. Sprinkle that in there. And then we're going to add 1 egg. Add that in. And next we're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. Teaspoon. So make sure it's smart to measure when you're baking. If you're cooking, it's okay to kind of make your own recipe kind of and judge on your seasonings, but baking, it's more important to measure. I'm not very good at that. I usually tend to, this looks good, but if you're learning to bake, I would recommend definitely using your measuring cups when baking. So now that we have our sugar and our eggs and vanilla in, we're going to mix it in together and make a little banana batter. So again, I just use a fork. It's when you're making like banana bread or zucchini bread, you don't really want to use your mixer because you don't want to over mix your batter. It's going to kind of ruin your bread. So just a simple fork works for this one. So next we're going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. You know what? Baking soda is always a pain to get out, I tell you. So it's okay if a little extra goes in. Teaspoon of baking soda, and then a teaspoon of baking powder. They are different. So now we got our baking powder, and we go. And then next we're going to do 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. You know, I'm just going to take this off. And measure in there. That's about 1/4. And that goes. And then we're going to use 1/8 teaspoon of salt. Don't ever forget your salt. Salt actually adds so much, even though it's only 1/8 teaspoon. Because I've done that before. And then you taste it and you go, what is that? Why does this taste so wrong? And you don't want that. So now we have all those in. We're going to mix again. So again, just a quick whip. Doesn't have to be super, super mixed in. You just sprinkle it in and go for it. Now that we got all those in, we're going to add 1.5 cups of flour. So we're just going to do that a little bit slow. Add a little bit at a time here. We'll do about that much and kind of, again, just want to whip it in a little bit. You don't want to over mix. Add a bit more. And again, show you just kind of whip a bit here. It's okay if flour gets everywhere. If you've seen any of my videos, you know I kind of make a mess when I cook. But that's okay. It's the love that goes into your food, right? It doesn't really matter how much of a mess you make, as long as you clean up afterwards. All right. So, almost got that in. Add the rest of our flour. So now we just want to make sure we get the flour mixed in and there's no like dry spots in there. So again, you don't have to like knead and mix like regular bread. This is just a quick, make sure there's no flour spots, make sure there's no dry spots. There we go. All right, and as you can see, we're all mixed pretty good. So I'm going to grab and we're going to take our pan that we've already greased. If you want, you can sprinkle some flour into it a bit so it doesn't stick. I never really do, and I've never had a problem with it not sticking, but sometimes it's recommended. So that is up to your discretion what you want to do there. And now we're just going to dump our batter into our pan. Make sure we get all the sides. I don't know if you're someone that likes to lick the batter when you're done. I am. I always like to lick the bowl. And funnily enough, banana bread batter is pretty good. So now we got the majority of our batter. Put that in the sink. And just smooth it out the top. And just like that, you have a loaf of banana bread. So now that our oven's preheated, we're going to put it in for about 50 to 60 minutes. I would time it 50 and then check it. And when you open it, you're just going to put either like a toothpick. I usually just use a fork. Put the fork in the middle. If it comes out with clean tines, your bread's done. If it comes out, still has dough on it, you need to go longer. So we're going to put this in the oven and I will bring you back when it's all done. Okay, so our banana bread, guys, is all done. I timed it another like 5 to 8 minutes, so probably about 58 minutes total is what we did with this loaf. And my fork came out clean, and we let it cool in the pan for about 10 minutes. So now that it has been cooling, we're just going to turn it out onto our cooling rack. And see, no sticking. Yay. And we're just going to flip it here. I'm going to let it cool. And see, you have a nice loaf of banana bread. This is one of my favorites. It probably will not last long around this house. So once it cools down a bit more on our cooling rack, then you can just slice it up. I usually just put it in a Ziploc bag. It keeps for several days in a Ziploc bag. Not that it usually lasts several days around here. Usually a day and a half at the most. But it's a really good snack. It's a really good breakfast. So here is your banana bread recipe. Hope you enjoy.